everyone, and welcome to Two Show Day. I'm your host, Diana Shabai Booker, and I am joined for a bonus episode by my producer, Mike McCord. Hi, Mike.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm okay. I'm ready for this conversation.
So Mike and I decided that in between our regular episodes where we bring on a guest, he and I are just going to shoot the shit and talk about whatever comes to mind. And he had a topic right away for us for this first one.
We're going to invite controversy.
We are.
This is a bold stance to take. In fact, I mentioned this to one of our coworkers today, who really wasn't feeling well and who was like slumped down in a chair, like. Right? And from that position just went, what are you talking about? Oh. So here's why Diana and I are a good team, because there have been 4 or 5 times now where I have said something today, hey, what if we do this? And Diana's like, no, we're already doing that. I've already started working on that. So I said to Diana, hey, what do you think about shows in between? And she was like, well, obviously, yeah. And I said, okay, what do you think about theater hot takes?
Yeah.
For instance... And not only did she say, I've already thought about the hot takes thing, but she also agreed with the hot take.
Yep.
So Diana's going to take the first hot take here. Here we go.
My hot take, and perhaps this isn't a hot take, but maybe it is, that The Greatest Showman is not very great.
No.
In fact, it's bad.
Terrible.
I'm going to say it's bad.
It's terrible.
Yeah, I rewatched it again last night to prepare for this. And I'm also a big believer in knowing what you hate. Yeah. I don't think you can hate something unless you know what it's about.
Fair.
Which is why I went to go see Cats when it was here in person. I now can say I've seen Cats, and it is exactly as horrible as I thought it was.
Yes.
So,
2 hot takes. 2 hot takes for the price of one.
Is that a hot take?
I think that there are 2 people in the world, people who like cats and the people who are right about cats. I want to tell you a cat story.
Yes, please.
So my ex-wife's family, her parents... with my encouragement, got a subscription to PPAC, to Providence Performing Arts Center in Rhode Island. Now Hamilton was coming that season. They were really excited. And I said, listen, looking at the other shows in the season that I don't even remember now, but I was like, there are a lot of really great shows. So they did the whole subscription.
Great.
Right? They saw Hamilton. They loved it.
Yeah.
My ex-father-in-law, who never called me, like that was not the type of relationship we had, right? It's like if he called me, like something had gone wrong, something was bad.
Okay.
But he calls me and he says, Cats is on the subscription. And I said, oh, okay. And he said, something like, do you like cats? Like he asked me very clearly, very specifically, my feelings on cats.
Okay.
And I said, it was the first show I ever saw.
Just a fact, not an opinion.
That is correct. I just simply stated, I have seen that show.
Sure.
He was so excited. He bought the soundtrack.
Oh my God.
He was listening to it to the point where when I was speaking to my ex-mother-in-law, she said, oh yeah, he listens to that all the time. They called me. It was like a half-hour drive from their house to the theater. They called me on the drive because they were excited about cats. And I was just like... cool. But I was also thinking, like, there are 2 types of people, like people who like cats, people who hate it. And like, I don't want to, like, if he's going to be a guy who loves cats, I don't want to be down on that.
Sure. Yeah. You can be excited that they're excited.
Absolutely.
Right, yeah.
So they call me, they're so excited. Great. Then like an hour and a half or so later, I get another call.
Oh, no.
And I'm thinking like,
show's not over.
Show's not over. And I say, hello. And he goes, we're in the car. And I said, what happened? And he said, his exact words to me were, I would rather stick a fork in my eye than watch the second act of that show.
What a heart. They didn't even make it to memory.
I know.
Oh my God.
I know. But I was like, well, yeah, that show is terrible. And he's like, you said it was great. I said, I did not. I never said that. Never did I say that.
Oh my God.
1 hot take down. That wasn't even the hot take we were planning.
No, that should not be a hot take.
It is not.
If you like cats, you need to find a different podcast.
Yeah, unsubscribe. Don't unsubscribe. Please like and subscribe all the things.
Please. Okay, The Greatest Showman. Yeah. So I watched this again last night, and I really try to go into anything with, an open mind and an open heart, right? And it's been... Well, especially it's a musical.
Yeah.
It's an original musical.
Yeah.
I will always support movie musicals with my dollar. I try to go to the theater as much as possible because I want them to make more.
Yeah.
So I even watched it legally. I was streaming it. I didn't even pirate this movie for.
You're doing the Lord's
research.
work, Diana. How admirable.
And I've seen it. I saw it a long time ago, and so I wanted to refresh my memory because I was like, well, maybe I've changed as a person since then. Maybe it's great, but every song is the most generic thing I have ever heard, and they're all very dated. The movie came out in 2017, so they sound very much like Imagine Dragons or Mumford and Sons. Like, seriously, listen to that first song.
Yeah, I don't know what I was expecting you to say. Imagine Dragons was nowhere on the list.
Listen to that first song.
Yep.
Whoa, that song?
Yeah.
Tell me you can't see that being Imagine Dragons, like anthem football song.
Yeah.
And every single song, I'm pretty sure, I've tried to keep track. The word circus is only mentioned once.
Sure.
I don't think the word performance is mentioned at all. Like, any of those songs could be lifted up and put in something else, which they now are. This Is Me is now a song in, like, prescription drug commercials. I'm almost 100% sure it's in an Ozempic commercial right now.
Yep, that feels right.
Yeah. And like, it moves so fast, and the acting is not good, even though they have several like acclaimed actors in it.
Let's talk about the acclaimed actors, because they have Spider Gal, they have High School Musical dude.
Yep.
They've got Wolverine.
Yep.
And Michelle Williams, who is wonderful, and I love her.
Wonderful. Yes.
I did not watch this movie in anticipation of this conversation because I just didn't want to put myself through it.
Right.
But what I remember, and I can't remember the guy's name. Who is High School Musical guy?
Zac Efron.
Thank you. That's him.
Yep.
Right. Who I think is great. Mm-hmm. He's great.
Yep.
You know, he's a bro.
Yeah.
I was like, oh yeah, he did like a bunch of musical stuff, and then he started to sing, and I was like, okay, I mean,
yes.
sure. Yeah,
we keep casting Zac Efron in musicals, but he's never done a real musical. He's never been on Broadway. He's never done anything regional.
Right.
And that's the same with a lot of people in this movie.
Yeah.
We keep casting in musical roles, though they can't actually sing. Another one, Johnny Depp. Stop casting Johnny Depp in movie musicals.
I don't get it.
Can't do it.
I know. In a Sondheim musical?
In two Sondheim musicals.
How dare you? What was
He's
the
in
second
Into the
one?
Woods, too.
Oh, he was in Into the Woods?
He's the wolf in Into the Woods.
Oh my God, you're right.
That came and went very quickly.
It did.
But because there's, James Corden is in it. Another man who...
Listen, we have to save some hot takes for later. We can't do all the hot
James
takes.
Corden has been on Broadway. He has a Tony for One Man, Two Governors, but it was not a musical.
Okay, well, listen, lots of people have Tonys, so...
We're going to get a regional Tony for this podcast.
We had better.
Best hot take
about a musical that never appeared on Broadway.
Yep.
Great.
Perfect.
I was thinking about this movie over the weekend, and I was just like, somebody said, hey, I've got a great idea. You know P.T. Barnum? We should do a musical about that really like hip, timely reference that people understand. We should do a thing about that. And then they had actors who played the freaks.
Yes.
Right? Like, and as I recall, like there was like a redemption arc. Like they were treated well within the company.
Yes.
As I recall, but also like they still weren't treated well everywhere else. Right?
Yes.
I'm just like,
and there's a whole thing where so Barnum discovers this singer from overseas, brings her over to America. She plays this opera singer.
Yeah.
And I don't know who the actor's name is, but I do remember that they dubbed over this woman's singing voice.
Oh,
so they cast somebody
that.
as an opera singer who can't sing, and the song she sings is not opera. Just change it to be a soprano or a regular singer. You don't have to call her an opera singer. But Barnum brings her over, and they have this big concert at like some Carnegie Hall type place, and all the people from the circus act come to support. And he says, "Get out! You can't be seen." And it's like, what? Why are we making this like feel good movie about this guy who is not good? There's already a Barnum musical from like the 70s or 80s.
Cleverly named Barnum.
So it's like, why didn't we just do, we could have had this whole story and it didn't have to be P.T. Barnum. It could have been somebody else. A note on the bearded lady. This is no shame on her performance. She's doing the best she can. But she's a bearded lady. That's her whole thing. That's why she's in this circus.
Yeah.
And at one point they're doing some dance, and then she has the final pose, and she has her arm in the air, and her armpits are shaved.
What?
Are you telling me that this woman who grows hair on her face is shaving her armpits but not her face in a world where she is not accepted?
It's not womanly to have.
I just don't. I listen, as someone who also doesn't shave her armpits, if I had hair on my face, I would shave it.
I mean, I can't.
She has access to a razor,
same.
and she's choosing to make a choice here.
Right.
So it started to become like silly things like that. Like, how come the bearded lady is shaving her armpits? Let it all grow or shave it all. No, my Letterboxd review, I gave 2 stars to The Greatest Showman. One is for Keala Settle, and one is for Zac Efron, who I've had a crush on since High School Musical. Still got it.
Fair.
The
fair.
end.
Absolutely fair. I want to pivot from your hot take because there was a tangentially related hot take.
There sure is.
And that is Hugh Jackman. And I am here to tell you that Hugh Jackman, in the context of Broadway, is awful. He's just not good. Why does everyone keep thinking he's good? I don't understand. I feel like I'm on crazy pills.
Please. So you saw The Music Man that he was in most recently. Talk about that experience.
Okay, no, hold on. I want to talk about from now on because Hugh Jackman's singing voice it only comes through his nose. And his vibrato is so weird. Like, I don't understand. Like, it's so strange.
Yeah.
And part of the issue, I believe, is because someone decided that Hugh Jackman is a tenor. He's not a tenor. He's not a tenor. Valjean? They bring him home?
Oh my God. Okay.
What?
As established on this podcast, that is the movie that got me into musicals, is the Hugh Jackman Les Mis.
Right.
So, like, I acknowledge that movie is, like, objectively not good, but I do have a special place for it in my heart.
You said in an earlier episode, it is not my favorite musical, but it was my first favorite musical.
Correct.
And I love that sentiment. And I'm going to come back to that in a moment.
Yeah.
You know what? I got to talk about other things. Then we're going to come back to Valjean. We're going to come back to Valjean. We're going to come back. Okay. So listen, it is not my favorite musical, but my first favorite musical, without a doubt, was Music Man.
Okay.
Wrote a paper on it in college. Have a degree in music education, and in the course of my undergraduate work, I literally wrote a paper on Music Man having to do with the stylistic choices and like the sort of subversive, subtle things that Meredith Willson did in Music Man. The one that always stands out to me is he in You Got Trouble, he's trying to paint this picture of, if the pool table comes into River City, then it's going to be bedlam, everything's going to be terrible.
Right.
There's going to be jazz and cigarettes and and joke books and other things. But he says at one point, in the context of talking to the crowd, he goes, "I don't know what kind of conversation goes on with a loafing around that hall," and it's such a jazzy, like offbeat rhythm, which was so funny to me because it's like he's literally doing the thing at them that he's telling them to hate, which I just thought was really clever writing.
Yeah.
Meredith Willson, wonderful guy.
Yeah.
Probably. I don't really know, but let's assume he's great. He's probably not. Oh no.
Yeah, we can't say anybody is great anymore.
I know, but wrote a really great musical.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. So I received tickets to see Music Man for birthday or Christmas, I don't remember. And I was meant to go in, I think, May of 2020.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Right. So
for a long time,
everything got closed down, right?
Yeah.
And there was a lot of like, you still have tickets, we don't know when, and blah, blah, blah. So, so it was, I think it was 2022 by the time we finally got to see the show. And it was Hugh Jackman and Sutton Foster as Harold Hill and Marion Peru, respectively.
Yep.
A slight tangent on Sutton Foster, who is not herself a soprano. She's a wonderful singer, but she's not a soprano.
No.
And Marion Peru is absolutely a soprano role.
Yes.
Did they change the keys so that she could sing it more? I'm pretty sure they did. And you know what I hate? I hate that.
Yeah.
I hate that so much.
Not to the classics.
No.
You can't change that to the classics.
This is like Josh Groban doing Nessun Dorma and like lowering it like a third. As a tenor, how dare you, sir? How dare you? I can't speak to Sutton Foster as I am not a soprano, but I suspect there's indignation to be had. Okay. So I go see The Music Man. Let me start with the good thing. At the end of the show is the Broadway Cares. It was the Broadway Cares studio, right? So they do the thing where, they come out and they say, if there's like a bidding war and, you can win a glove that he wore on the show and that she wore, and they've got posters and all sorts of stuff. So there was an actual bidding war going on. And one of the women, they're like both in the front row. One woman was like off on house right. And I don't know if she won, but like she definitely was like talking directly to Hugh Jackman as they're doing this auction thing.
Okay.
And she says, "Oh, my son really wants to say something to you." And I went,
Oh no.
but her son was he seemed like he had some difficulties,
Okay.
right? And he stands up and he very loudly, very proudly says, "I really loved you as Wolverine." Right?
That's so sweet.
It was so sweet. But then Hugh Jackman, in full band leader uniform, gets down and he does the Wolverine pose, and the kid just like, it was like such a great moment. And I was like, "Oh, you're such a, I love that dude." And this is my point. I don't have a problem with Hugh Jackman. I have a problem with Hugh Jackman on Broadway.
You have a problem with the casting directors.
That's
that
correct.
Keep putting him on
Hugh
Broadway.
Jackman in things. Wolverine, great.
Right.
Seems like a lovely guy.
Sure.
Great. Okay. So then we get into the show. I did not love his Harold Hill. I'm very particular about the Harold Hill, right? Robert Preston, like no one has done it better than Robert Preston because you can't.
Right.
Right. And Robert Preston famously could not sing. And yet.
Right.
And yet.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's like from that era, like the My Fair Lady era too, where it's like we're just gonna put a strong male lead in here that can't sing.
We need right. Fine. Great. It's perfect. Okay. So here's Hugh Jackman doing Harold Hill, and it was meh. And Sutton Foster was meh. But in the show, there was a moment where they broke. They broke and they started laughing at each other. And I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. They're professionals and they're breaking. And the chemistry was like, damn.
Well,
hold on, because I know what you're going to say.
I am. Yep. I'll save it.
The chemistry was palpable. Okay. Then I find out. So like I watch this out, I enjoy it. The show's fine. It's fine. It was fine. But I was really taken by like, I can't believe they broke.
Yeah.
And then I go and I find out they broke at every show. In the same spots. They staged the breaking.
They staged?
Yes,
that's not a break then.
I know. I was lied to, Diana. I was lied to.
That I hate that.
I was so mad.
I hate faking reality. That's like Kardashian level fake reality TV.
But here's the thing. That chemistry was real. Okay, so
the chemistry was real because they both just left their longtime spouses for each other.
Yes, they did.
I cannot respect somebody that treats their first spouse badly. Like Hugh Jackman was married to his wife for like 30-something years.
A
like
long
time.
Yes.
Yes.
Listen, I feel a little different. I feel I'm in the camp of you can't help who you love. You love the person you love. I don't know the circumstances about their various splits. I know what the reports say. I know the reports say that the relationship seems to have started with Sutton Foster and Hugh Jackman seems to have started prior to their divorces. And it seems like it might have been a bit of a surprise to their respective spouses. Not cool. I hope that everybody has healed and is happy and all of the things. I don't want to get down on somebody's for, okay. But what I am saying is that those two people lied to me. And if they lied to me,
Who else are they lying to?
who else have they lied to? Music Man is my jam. I could right now, we have about 10 minutes left. I could take several of those minutes and do All of You Got Trouble right now. Should I? Would you like to know what kind of conversation goes on with left and right? Then we try out Bebo, try out Q-Bab, try out Tail Maze like cigarette fiends, and bragging all about how they're going to cover up a telltale birth with sense. And one fine night, they leave the pool hall, head for a dance at the Armory, libertine men and scarlet women, and ragtime, shameless music that'll grab your son, your daughter to the arms of a jungle, animal instinct, mass hysteria, friends. The idle brain is the devil's playground trouble. Oh, you got trouble right here in Nervous City, right here in Nervous City. I mean, like, listen, I could do the whole thing. You thought I was joking.
I never want you to be
I could do
joking.
Rock Island. I mean, I got the whole thing. I was in the Barbershop Quartet. I have been in that show. I have directed that show. I've been in the Barbershop Quartet twice, 2 different parts. That was terrible because I was the lead in the first one, the second tenor, and then I was the high first tenor the second time, and it was really hard.
Wow.
Yeah.
Do you have a Music Man tattoo?
I do not. I don't have any tattoos. I don't like anything that much. People often say, "Don't you have a child?" And I say, "Yes," and I said what I said.
Okay, quick tangent about my mother, who I love so much. My mother has 2 tattoos, both of which are Dave Matthews Band related.
Okay.
She loves Dave Matthews Band.
Sure.
One day, I have several tattoos myself. I pitched to her that we get companion tattoos that are Ernie and Bert Fisher-Price figurines, which she loves Sesame Street and she loves the Fisher-Price figures. And she said, no, I don't think so. So my mother has 2 Dave Matthews tattoos and will not get any with her daughter.
Wow.
So Barb's with you there.
I mean, wow. I wish that I was conversant enough in the Dave Matthews catalog to come up with a song title that like somehow related to what you just said, but all I got is like satellite. That's all I got.
She'll like that.
Yeah,
That's
perfect.
good. Yeah.
Great.
Yeah. So Hugh Jackman. Like I like Hugh Jackman as an actor. Like I saw.
But wait.
Oh, there's more.
I'm so sorry. I have to go back to Valjean.
Oh, sure. Of course. Yes.
Okay. Claude Michael Schoenberg, who was the composer for Les Mis. I believe this story is true. If I'm telling a lie, it is a lie told in good faith. Wrote a version of Bring Him Home, met Colm Wilkinson, who is a G as far as tenors go.
Yep.
Like, there is no other Broadway tenor.
Yeah. He was the original Valjean. He was a Phantom.
Yeah.
Yeah, done a lot of stuff.
And I saw an interview with Hugh Jackman who was like, Colm Wilkinson ruined it for the rest of us because that song was written so high that, like, nobody can do it. Yeah. And that's true, including Hugh Jackman. I am a tenor. I trained as a tenor in my undergrad. I have done Bring Him Home. That is to say, I have sung the notes and rhythms. I don't know that I've pulled it off,
right.
But I have tried.
Yeah.
That song is deranged because it is astronomically high and stays there for a long time and happens well into the second act of a very long show.
Yes.
And then Hugh Jackman sings it on camera. And famously in that production, the songs were sung live on set.
Yep.
And he looks like someone is kicking him in the shin the whole time. He looks like he is in pain. And I will tell you, as a former voice teacher, if when you are singing, you look like you are in pain, you're doing something wrong.
Yes. Yeah.
And Colm Wilkinson was in that movie.
Yes, he was the bishop.
Right? He was the bishop. He literally passed the baton, the candlesticks, to the new Valjean. And I was like, oh my God. And then, God, on high, hear my prayer. Like, get
That's an excellent Jackman
Thank
impression.
you very much. No, that was just me. That's how I sing. Oh, is that? Oh, that's...
No, you had, when the Les Mis tour was here last year, you did the theater talk.
I did.
For them. And I do not remember the actor's name that played Valjean, but he had a great answer about that song. And he said the whole show is a warm-up for
that
Bring
song.
Him Home.
Yeah, right.
Which is crazy because Valjean is on stage so much of the time.
Right.
And, like,
right.
goes through so much.
That is a nearly 3-hour musical
Yeah.
That is just Valjean carrying it on his shoulder the whole time.
Yeah.
And not only that, in that particular production, he sang that song from a seated position. He was on the wall. Mm-hmm. And I was like, why? That director was mad at him. Why did they do that to that poor guy?
Yeah. But he absolutely killed it.
He did. Oh, that guy was great.
Yeah.
He murdered that song.
Yeah.
And listen, and there's a TikTok trend going around right now. I don't know if you've seen this, where they do. It's from One Day More,
okay.
and it's Nick Jonas, and I forget who did he play Marius, I think.
Yes, in the 25th anniversary concert. Yeah.
Right. So it's him singing, and that's great. And then for Valjean they had Alfie Boe, who is a beast of a singer.
Absolutely.
So it's like this really thin, like, my face is here, my time will go one day. And and it's this trend now where it's just all of these people being like, there's this little thing over, and then this monstrous thing.
Right.
And like, what must Nick Jonas feel like singing next to Alfie Boe?
Maybe the Les Mis movie doesn't bother me as much because Russell Crowe is so bad. Hugh Jackman isn't as bad. In comparison. Fair. I'm sure this isn't actually what it looks like, but I just remember when he's on the bridge in his final song, and he hits the note, and then I felt like he just went
fully stiff and just
Yes.
went,
And then there's like a crack when he hits the thing.
Fell, and I just picture him like someone having badly superimposed him and like just
Yeah, it's like they just photoshopped him and he just like got smaller and just
It was like really bad old timey Flash animation or something. It was not great. It was not.
I gotta give that another spin. I haven't seen it in a while.
Okay. Are you inviting me over? Because I'm busy that day. I don't know.
Wow, Mike.
Harsh. Yeah, it was just. I mean, like again, like that's a whole other hot takes segment about that movie. I mean, there's great stuff in that movie.
I know.
I think that Eddie Redmayne, he was cool.
Yeah.
I mean, and I think Eddie Redmayne's great. I don't love him, and I feel like it's a little bit like when he gets cast, I feel it's a little bit stunt casty, and I don't feel confident enough in that take to call that an official hot take. But I do agree with you what you said earlier, like with Greatest Showman, like they cast all these like big names that weren't.
Like there are people that can sing that we can cast.
Absolutely.
Or put Hugh Jackman in a non-singing role.
Ewan McGregor in the OG Moulin Rouge.
That's right.
He is how I figured out how to be a tenor, because I was like, well, if Obi-Wan Kenobi can do it. and listen, the stuff in the movie version of, and I'm not that familiar with the Broadway version of Moulin Rouge, but in the movie, like that stuff is astronomically high. Like he is just wailing the whole time.
Yeah, there's some wailing in the Broadway stuff too. Yeah, they do this excellent mashup of Rolling in the Deep and Crazy, Gnarls Barkley's Crazy.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
I know exactly what you're talking about. Yes.
Yeah, it gets up there. I was looking at this at The Greatest Showman, and I was like, okay, as much as I don't like this, how many original movie musicals have come out in the last 20, 30, 40 years?
Totally fair.
Like nothing. We don't get like The Bandwagon anymore. We don't get Singing in the Rain. We don't get Summer Stock. We don't get these like Judy Garland or even like Fred Astaire, Ginger Rogers movies anymore.
That's right.
So we could do that. But next episode, maybe we'll talk about how I feel the same way about La La Land too. Which that might get me canceled. I also don't like La La Land, but
I was indifferent to La La Land, I think, but that one I would go back and watch again.
Yeah, like I said, I didn't get a chance to watch it again. I saw it like when it came out during its awards season, and I'd like to see it again. But maybe it's just Pasek and Paul musicals I don't like because they wrote both. So
I know, right? But Dear Evan Hansen.
Yeah, okay. I haven't revisited Dear Evan Hansen since I saw it, and I saw it with Ben Platt, and I had like a very emotional, perfect experience when I saw that show. And so I made a point to be like, I don't want to see this again.
Yeah.
Because like since it's come out, there's been very valid criticisms about the show, and I don't know if like the performances would be like the same reaction I would have, so I've chosen to stay away from it since then.
Fair.
I also think, similar to The Greatest Showman, there are songs in there that just sound like singles.
Yeah.
And don't actually contribute to the story.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah. Well, and listen, to your point about, like, we don't get movie musicals, absolutely. And right. Here's the spirit of hot takes as far as I'm concerned. The spirit of hot takes is we realize that these comments are not universally accepted.
Right.
All that being said, the same with Cats. If Greatest Showman is your way into this, then amazing. I am so glad that you love this thing.
Yeah.
I feel like I have consumed enough Broadway for that not to be my thing.
Yeah. Totally agree. Just like it can be your first favorite movie musical.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But if it's your favorite, then I got some other movie musicals to show you.
You've not seen enough things.
Yeah.
Go to Today Tix. It's an app. Diana told me about it.
Oh,
it's great. Get inexpensive, or at least less expensive tickets.
Go to Broadway. Come to Proctor's. Go to Slock. Slock has some incredible performers. You can go see for like $28.
That's right.
So, yeah.
Okay.
There we go. All right. Well, hopefully we don't get canceled, and we'll be back to do this a second time.
I can't wait. Okay, bye.
Bye.
Two Show Day is created and hosted by Diana Shabai Booker. It is executive produced by Diana and is produced and edited by Michael McCord. You can contact Two Show Day at twoshow.daypodcast@gmail.com and find all our socials on Linktree at linktr.ee/2showday. Two Show Day is independently owned by Diana Shabai Booker. It is part of the Collaborative Studios network. All opinions expressed herein are not necessarily the opinions of Collaborative Studios, Proctor's Collaborative, or any of its affiliates or partners. If you're interested in becoming a part of Collaborative Studios, you can reach us at collaborativestudios@proctors.org.
you.